engineering could be really, really, really interesting. Um,
And
would you
again,
want to live forever? Like,
pardon?
like we were talking about like aging earlier. How long would you want to live? Like honestly.
Honestly, I don't plan to die.
No, okay. You don't plan to die?
No. Let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
Do you want to get Alzheimer and die in painful death in
I've
the age
come
of
to peace
80?
with it. I mean,
Hmm?
to answer your question, I've had my own like experience with my mortality when I was younger, and it kind of what it did for me personally was it's terrifying on one hand, but on the other hand, it put things in perspective. Like, and this is why I'm asking this question. I would love, say, an extra 50 years. I'd love an extra 50 years.
Okay, and let's say these 50 years come to pass and people ask you, doctors ask you, do you want to die now or do you want to live a few more years healthy?
I think there would come a point I'd want to die. Like honestly,
What
just
point?
like, and here's why. Like I think there comes a point for me. Like I know this. Like one of the things that makes life so interesting or so precious is the time we have, and the fact that it is finite, and that means that it gives a sense of urgency and a sense of change. Life is like by its very nature changes constantly, right? If I'm now again, I could live. I live if all goes well, I could conceivably make it to 120. I probably won't. It'd be probably closer to 80 or 90 or maybe or somewhere between 80 and 90. But I'm but I could conceivably it's possible for me to go to 120 right now. Say I get an extra 50 years. So depending on how you look at it, I lived to 130 or I lived to 150. Um, somewhere between that. That's a cool life. I would still be very fulfilled at 150 years. But at
But
200,
what happened when you are 150 and you feel healthy and your
yeah,
cognitive ability is good and you're working, you're doing what you love, and you're 150? Would you die there?
what
Ask you, do you want to die now?
if they asked me right that minute,
Yeah.
no. But do I think would I want another treatment to live longer? Probably no. I think there would come a point. There would come a point with me, and I know this, where I'd be like, I'm okay to die. Like I again, my own personal experience with it. There's going to come a point. There's going to be a point in life where I'm going to be ready to move on to whatever's beyond this. Whether you believe that there's anything or not, I think there's a point where I am ready to do it. There'll be a point in my own personal experiences have kind of prep me for this. I know one day I'm going to die, so I'm trying to live every moment as if it's my last. I think I could definitely do that. If there's no urgency, I'd lose that. And I think and then at some point I would become attached to life. It's almost like life would become the womb, right? A cocoon where you don't escape to whatever's out there. And I don't know if I'd want that forever. I
So
wouldn't
let's
mind
ask
them
you a
to.
question
Mm,
that maybe explain your behavior. Do you believe in afterlife?
absolutely.
Okay, so maybe that's the difference
No,
between us.
no, no. That you know what? That's a big part of it. But I also, with my own experience with what
So you
happened.
think that when you die, this is not the end, there is something else. You see, I
But
don't believe
even but
that.
but even if there's not, like, I couldn't, like, I look, even me believing that, I can't say for sure. Like, I don't know what's beyond there, but I had an experience when I was 25, around 25. Actually, it was closer to 27, but 25, to say 25 for the sake of the story. That I was confronted with my mortality, like, right in the face. Like, I knew that there was a chance in that situation that I was going to die. But in that situation, I came to a realization that one day I am going to die, and one day it's going to be the right thing. And it's a really interesting, and if you've never been through that, it's really hard to really explain that. But but when I went through that, it made me realize that I am immortal, and that's not a bad thing. And I recognize the fact that one day I'm going to walk away. Now, whether or not there's anything really beyond that, I don't want to die. I want to make that very clear. I don't want to die, but I understand that like death's a part of life, and I don't think you can entirely. I think at some point all of us have to come to peace with that. That's a part of this journey too. Whatever. whether you believe there's something beyond that or not. What matters is how did Data put this in Picard? I watched this in Picard. I
Yeah,
wish you
this
had
is the
lived.
part of the card I didn't like.
No, Picard as a whole had some huge flaws, but I really did like the scene. The final scene with him and Data was really beautiful,
Yeah.
and the thing is, I need you to unplug me. He go and went to Picard, and Picard goes, "Well, do you want to die?" Not exactly, right? And no one wants to die, but but there's a point of acceptance where people realize that you're going to die, and whether you believe in an afterlife or you don't, even if I didn't believe what I believed after that experience, there's going to be a time when I come face to face with that again, and I'm just going to be like, okay, and I will just go forward. And that's me. That's just my own personal life experience.
I also had a near death experience when I was younger.
Yeah.
I went to Thailand and I went to Kanchanaburi where they built a bridge on the Kwai River. And I
Okay.
was on a motorcycle and there was on the highway at some point there was a roadblock. But unlike in Western country, you didn't have sign or like red, orange tapes or anything. It was not bare metal. And it came to me here at this speed at 70K. And I, I was lucky because I was just after my army training, so if something happened, you drop immediately. That's reflex. So
Mm-hmm.
had I wait a split second more, it would have hit my head at 70K, and I would be gone. So, I, so does it mean I'm immortal? No.
No, God,
If I
no.
will die, yes. Do I want to die?
No one wants to
No.
die. No one wants to die.
Between the age and 80 and 90, suffering for very serious health issues like Alzheimer, cancer, cardiovascular, in pain and die? No, I prefer to be healthy.
No,
Can I tell you?
but
Do I believe in there is an afterlife that if you die you go to some better place? No. So
but you can also be like my grandmother.
why would I want to die?
Yeah, you can also be like my grandma. No one wants to die ever.
So I don't want. So I think there is a good chance I'll die. I also don't accept that death is inevitable in the, let's say, in the next few hundred years, given all the technology progress trends that we spoke in the past. So potentially in 20, 15, 20, 30 years, there is a chance it will be possible to reverse aging. It's already done to some degree of success with mice. But it's going to take many, many years before it will be transferred to human. And also the process with mice, it's only given them like 30, 40% health span. But I'm cautiously optimist that modern medical science will provide in the next few decades a way to resolve a lot of the age-related issues we have. And do I ask me if I want to suffer and die horribly at the age of 80? No.
No, but I think here's the I'm gonna throw now. I'm gonna be a little bit of a devil's advocate with you. My grandmother is 80 and she's dating. She's having fun.
Okay.
My grandmother is 80 years old and she's dating again. And she's having the time of her life with the person. I think there's something about watching people as I've gotten older, and as I've become a lot more comfortable as a person as I've gotten older. And I look at where she's at in her 80s, and like, and she's enjoying her life. And I'm sure there are days there are pain for sure, but she's happy, she's healthy, and I look at that as I don't think necessarily 80 and 90 years old is the end either. I think so. Christopher Lee, do you remember Count Dooku? Saruman, Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee, that right? At 90 years old, he cut his first rock song at 90, which I think is just such a freaking cool thing. I don't think we stop living even if we grow old, if that makes sense, right? I think what happens is we evolve and we change. And I think, and again, something we talked about earlier. I don't mind. I love another 50 years. I think I could do another 50 years. But I also think I don't mind the experience. I'm older now. I don't recover like I did when I was younger. I'm stronger than I was when I was younger, right? But I know that too will one day go. I'll get to 50 years old, and I'll still be able to lift the house, but I'm going to need a nap afterwards. And when I'm 80 years old, if I jump on a trampoline with kids, I'm going to be down for days. I mean, that's just how life's going to kick your butt. But I've enjoyed the process of discovering new things about myself with each and every experience I've had. And ironically, I mean, pain's a powerful teacher. You know what I mean?